Welcome to the Corporate Roundtable. I'm your host, Rick Kaplan. And hey, 2020 is almost over. Hooray. It has been a tough one, but it's not all bad. We will be talking to three companies that know a lot about giving back and acts of kindness. All three companies have been awarded the NAOP Impact Award for 2020. And let me introduce our panel. Kate Schoss. Raise your hand, Kate. She is the Vice President and Director of Marketing for Bullfinch. Then you'll see Sean Griffin. Raise your hand, Sean. And he's the Director of Hospitality for Boston Urban Partners. And then we have Karen Conway. She is the Director of, there you are, Karen. We figured you were the only one left. So you're the Director of Partner and Engagement and Operations and Building Impact. We have one other company that they're not on the screen, but I will tell you a little bit about them a little later in the show. And the company is Urban Spaces. They're a Cambridge-based real estate development company and food for free. And we'll talk about them a little later. We're going to start off with Kate Schoss. And we're going to ask Kate, so Kate, tell us a little bit about your company first off and what your role is in the company.
Sure. Thanks, Rick. Well, first wanted to say thanks so much for having me here today. It's great to be here with all of you and a really timely topic, and I'm just pumped to be here. My name's Kate. Like I said, I'm the Vice President, Director of Marketing at the Bullfinch Companies. Bullfinch is a third-generation commercial real estate and investment firm. We focus on acquisitions, development, repositioning of properties, and property management in the greater Boston area.
Okay, and then we're going to go to Sean Griffin. And John, tell us a little bit about Boston Urban Partners.
Sure, yeah. So we're a retail brokerage firm. We activate all the ground level spaces, commercial spaces in the city here. We're focused primarily Boston, Cambridge, and Somerville. We work with a lot of cafes, restaurants, fitness users, typical dry goods retailers, fashion, that sort of thing. And I'm the Director of Hospitality. My focus and role in the company is working with restaurant operators.
We're going to have a lot to talk about then.
Yeah.
And Karen Conway with Building Impact. Karen, tell us a little bit about what Building Impact's about and your role.
And my role. So Building Impact, we are a nonprofit social enterprise. What that basically means is it's a fee-for-service model in which our mission is to strengthen the community through volunteering. We do that through our CRE partners and their tenant companies within them, and orchestrate many ways that collectively we can volunteer and then contribute to hyper-local nonprofits in our area, and have recently branched out to make it national and actually a couple international as well.
Another great company that does an awful lot for a lot of different organizations, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's go to Kate. And what is the act of giving that Bullfinch has chose to do?
That's a great question. I think one of the things is about giving, and giving back has always been a core principle of Bullfinch since it's the firm founding over 84 years ago. During the pandemic, that has changed like everything else. And one of the things that we focused on was making sure, how could we give our team the resources and tools to be able to feel supported and allow them to be able to do their job during this time, especially in the spring. And part of that is making sure that we are providing them with not only the resources, but the help and support, whether that was mental health, whether that was making sure they weren't feeling isolated, engaged. During very uncertain times, people can often feel isolated. And so one of the ways we were able to do that was, in addition to incorporating new technology to make sure we could communicate and maybe see one another on the screen like we're doing here today, but also how could we do something to come together as a team, not only to stay engaged, but to help others in our community. One of the things we like to say at Bullfinch is, we don't just build buildings, we help to build communities. And so initially what we did, in addition to the normal organizations that we support throughout our year, is that we came together to identify a campaign to help first responders. And what we did was a team donation campaign, which Bullfinch matched on top of all of our donations to Brigham and Women's Hospital COVID-19 Relief Fund. And that felt really helpful for not only our team, but also our community. And then throughout the months that followed, we identified different campaigns that help support different needs, not only in our community here, but also in the real estate community as well. Our next campaign focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion in response to current events that unfolded in our country, wanting to make sure that we were, again, giving back in ways that were important to our community and the world around us, but also soliciting feedback from our team members to ensure that their voice mattered and that we together decided how we were going to help make a difference. And so we identified different groups to help support, which included YW Boston and the Equal Justice Initiative. And then that kind of same theme continued throughout the last 9 months, where we've identified different organizations to support with different themes and topics. And Building Impact plays a big role in our efforts as a company. So we do a lot of collaboration with them. Bullfinch is actually a founding partner of Building Impact, which really drives volunteer opportunities, not only for corporate companies, but for Bullfinch tenants in particular. And so we're able to provide virtual volunteering opportunities, not only for our team members, but really for Bullfinch tenants as well. So when many people, again, aren't in their workplaces, how can they continue to volunteer and help those around them when they're maybe in their home or not together? So it was really a multi-tier process to identify different organizations to support and really driving engagement with our team and our community when many are not in the same place.
So how do you find that getting all the employees involved in this, they must get a good feeling from this, and that must help with how they look at your company as a whole, I would think.
It certainly does, Rick. And I think we look at it as part of our culture of who we are as a team. And as a family-run organization, our team members, our employees, are really an extension of that family. And that whole camaraderie is part of what makes it so special to work at Bullfinch. And the idea of working together, of innovating, of coming up with new opportunities and partnerships is also really exciting, but also rewarding. And we had fantastic response from our team members of not only feeling like they were contributing, but also giving back in a time where they felt very helpless. And we had just the outpouring of support and positivity that came out of it was really helpful for not only our team, but also the organizations that we were helping to support during very challenging times.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, that sounds great. I mean, it's beneficial to the organizations that you're supporting, as well as all the employees that are involved in this. And, I was going to go to Sean, but before I get to you, Sean, I wanted to, because I have a lot to ask you. Okay. I wanted to go to Karen because, Karen plays Building Impact plays a very important role in putting together a lot of these programs for a lot of different organizations. Tell us a little bit about what Building Impact has been up to.
What we've been up to. Okay, great. Well, thank you. And actually, thank you, Kate. It is a perfect segue. Our partnership, especially with Bullfinch and some of our loyal founding partners as well, have been instrumental in helping us pivot into a virtual world in terms of volunteering. And as one can imagine, like everything else, we had to figure out how can we best support the community at a time when the need is amplified that much more, and very much hitting areas that are disproportionately affected by COVID-19 are those areas that have low income and food insecurity, challenges with getting houses, affordable housing, etc. So we at Building Impact still stand by our 3-pillar mission model, which is that we, one, listen. We listen to the community. It is so important to actually pay attention and recognize what the needs are in order to actually address those needs, and how can we best do it. Two, we work with teams. Collectively, we are much better and much more effective in delivering any of our services and opportunities to volunteer. And as Kate mentioned, we have received so much feedback from our volunteer network saying, how can we help? We're just not sure how to do it. How can we do it and stay safe? If you could help guide us and shepherd us through this process, it would be very helpful. So we turned and pivoted to a virtual volunteer model in which we have very much kit-based organizational projects that can be done on Zoom. We get together and collectively meet. We share a moment of gratitude rather than an icebreaker. We don't need to have any more icebreakers in our world, but just a moment of reflection and positivity and finding that silver lining during these challenging times. And so then we can take it and give it back to the community. Just due to the nature of our business, we have many different social issue areas that we address. We address diversity, equity, and inclusion. We address health issues, mental health. We address food insecurity, basic clothing, etc. For the purpose of what you said, what would be our primary focus that we had spent the most time on this year? It was a hard one. I had to think about that when you gave that question yesterday. But I would come back and say it's the food insecurity. We, through COVID, have had so much experience with seeing that it's going down to a lot of levels that are based, that are understandable, and across the board, no matter where you live. 1 in 5 people and children in Eastern Massachusetts are experiencing food insecurity and challenges with hunger. So we were able to partner with the Boston Boys and Girls Clubs, with local schools. We had provided a virtual food drive. So we were able to raise money to have deliveries given to the local pantries that were unable to actually have volunteers come in and help, etc. We had a gift cards for groceries, which was an opportunity for local organizations to give their clients an actual gift card to use at the bodega down the street, because there's food deserts. There's not the opportunity to get to a supermarket, etc. And then we also had the opportunity to scale that, as we said, through some of our partners, such as Bullfinch and National Development. And we have a relationship with HQO, who is also a player in the CRE world.
So companies like Bullfinch and National Development, they join Building Impact, or are they like partners in Building Impact?
Correct. So we have clients, so they would be our clients per se. And as we said, we are a fee for service, but 100% of what our fee that comes in goes right into the mission. So for instance, when we have our virtual donation drives, it's dollar for dollar. Every dollar that's donated goes directly to the nonprofit that is the beneficiary or the food pantry, etc. What we have as the benefit, and as I said, it is really due to the loyal partners that we have and the community that we then have that is interested in learning how, as a company or as an actual full real estate building, can give back. So they partner with us on a fee for service based, and then we are giving opportunities to the entire tenants in their buildings, and then turn around and actually develop further relationships with individual companies. So for instance, one of the companies that is at Bullfinch, Pfizer, which I think we all kind of know the name, they just finished up a 2-day volunteer for their employee days of service. And in the midst of giving back to the entire world and saving our world problems, they found time to actually donate and contribute to by virtual volunteer.
So they don't necessarily have to be involved directly into commercial real estate.
No, we also have companies. We have individual companies as well. So we work with individual companies. Very often there's a nice introduction that comes from the commercial real estate partners that we have. We go in and we work with the partners that are part of the building. And then all of their tenants inside have an opportunity to have easy access to volunteer opportunities that are sponsored by Bullfinch, National Development, the Davis companies, JLL, Rock Hill. a lot of our clients. And then in turn, those companies say, oh, I'm really interested. We'd like to do something more. And then they take it a step further. So it's a nice warm introduction to what is the potential. And then we take that potential, and with skilled-based volunteering and other opportunities as well, we can magnify and amplify it.
Well, sounds like you're doing great work there, Karen.
Thanks.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that appreciate it. Now let's get to Sean Griffin from Boston Urban Partners. Sean, let's hear a little bit about what Boston Urban Partners is doing for their that they're giving back.
Sure. So the beginning of the pandemic, you can imagine, as a retail brokerage firm, much of our work went up in smoke, really. All the deals that were sort of in motion at the time, got put on pause. No one knew what the new world was going to look like. Would restaurants continue to operate? Would people still have a need for retail? And we looked around and says, well, what are we going to do here? We've got this team of staff, who need to be engaged. We have a platform of both tenants and landlords, who we represent, that we need to continue to engage. And we recognized, that there was a need out there. As Karen said, the amount of children, particularly who were facing hunger in the beginning of the pandemic, and continue to, really, because of their reliance on school breakfast and school lunches was real. So anyway, one of the partners at the firm came up with the idea to host a cooking class. We have an incredible network of chefs, restaurateurs, that we work with. And we said, let's put together a virtual cooking class. Obviously, everybody was virtual and online, getting dialed in with Zoom and WebEx and all these other platforms. So we said, let's bring the chefs into people's homes. Everybody was cooking more. It was no one was going out to eat at restaurants. And we'll do it on a Sunday night. Presumably whenever everybody's at home, and we'll let the chefs pick a charity to do it for. So we reached out to the chefs, and they were excited to do this. And overwhelmingly, the chefs came back and said, we want to do this for No Kid Hungry. No Kid Hungry got their roots here in Boston. They've been around for 30 years. They have a national platform, and are doing incredible work. To do exactly that. Ensure that no kid goes hungry. So, we realized that getting the chefs to participate was the easy part. We're a retail brokerage firm. We had to figure out how to be a production company. So we obviously upped our subscription on Zoom, and we figured out how to get everybody signed up. And then there was the technical piece of it all, where we were figuring out how to produce this cooking show. It was quite the task. But I have to say, similar to Kate's comments about what the staff and the company felt, it was great camaraderie. I mean, amidst a pandemic and all the doom and gloom that was out there, it was really uplifting. We felt we were making an impact. It was a platform for the chefs to be able to tell their stories. They were obviously going through an incredibly tough time and really strapped for time as well. They had to lay off their entire staff. So they had very limited resources. Some of them were still trying to do takeout. And just starting to get their in-house dining back online. So it was a really, really tough time for them. And I continue to say thank you to all the chefs that helped us with this. We couldn't have done it without them.
So you were in the middle of raising funds for this organization during this cooking show. So I think you mentioned to me that you raised quite a bit of money.
Yeah, we did. I think we're just about at $12,000. Fundraising, is still open. I mean, No Kid Hungry will always need support. Whether we continue to do a season 2 family meal or not. But yeah, we're continuing to raise money, and the donations are continuing to come in.
And one of the things that I'd like to mention, that's why it was important that you were on this show, Sean, is the restaurant industry has been struggling through this whole thing. I can't mention this enough, and I've done this on a number of shows, that people have to support these restaurants, whether it's for takeout or, just a grab and go type of thing, just support them in any way, as well as tip all of the servers, all of the people that are presenting you with the food or just taking the order. These people are struggling right now. And I think it's very important that people have to make sure that they're doing their part to help them.
Yeah, it's an incredibly tough time in restaurants. And I think people are really just starting to realize it. Certainly in the spring when everyone, was shut down initially, many of us thought it was temporary. And in a way it was. A lot of restaurants opened back up and did well this summer because there was a pent up demand for it. But the reality is, we've already lost close to 30% of restaurants in the state of Massachusetts, and who knows what lies ahead. Who knows how many more restaurants we will lose. We saw a lot of dining in the street and outdoor dining was strong this summer, if you had that available to you, but all that's gone away obviously with with the change in weather here, and then there's incredible restrictions on restaurants right now as to what they can do indoors. And unfortunately, there's very little help for these restaurateurs that are trying to survive. The PPP money really was only designed to last, a little over 2 months. So whoever ended up getting that, that's certainly been spent. And who knows when, there'll be any other relief. Lots of restrictions and very little support for these restaurants right now.
I just wanted to jump in and say it's been pretty interesting to see how other companies have been partnering with restaurants to help come up with creative ways to assist and support them during these times, especially during holiday season when you would maybe have a really uptick in sales because of large holiday parties. One thing our team at Bullfinch did this year was support a local restaurant, Revival Cafe, and what we did is a virtual event to create charcuterie boards where we as a team came together again as sort of another active engagement activity, but also to celebrate one another and then recognize the need and to support local businesses. I will say it was fantastic. It was amazing. It was incredible food, but it was also really fun to learn, tips and tricks of how to design, a board fit for any party, whether you're at home in a pandemic or maybe in the future. So it's good to see some positive ideas that are coming, online, and we're happy to be part of that too as a team.
Yeah, I've heard of a couple of companies that have been sending out restaurant gift cards to a lot of their clients, as well as giving them out to a lot of their employees on a regular basis, just so they would go out and support a lot of the restaurants in the area, which is, a nice gesture and a perfect thing to do during this time, I think. We did get someone that put in the chat box, and I'm not sure who this is meant to be, maybe to all of you, but it's Rianne Whalen, and she says, woo-hoo. That's Housing Families, Inc. from Malden here. Thank you for your support. So I'm not sure who is, it must be part of the Karen's group, Building Impact.
Yes, we've had a great relationship with Housing Families, and they have a wonderful program for youth as well. And so we had provided some dental kits and dental hygiene kits that were for them and everybody who was in their constituents. So thank you very much. They are amazing. Again, just echoing what you've said, We've witnessed and loved the creativity that we've seen in the commercial real estate world. In terms of gifts in lieu of either a holiday party that you may have had or decorations that were going up in your lobby, there have been a lot of our clients that have turned and said, okay, rather than giving our tenant a small treat or basket or something of wine, they've taken it and done gift cards, be it to a restaurant, or also this is a donation made in your behalf that's going to benefit children that are in the foster care system. And that will then have a holiday gift that can come through. Again, I know I keep mentioning Bullfinch, but they are very, very active in such a great way that they too had participated in the holiday gift drive that we had that does, again, support and bring cheer and spread some joy during the times that are really challenging. I think that right now is what we're seeing the most, is that we're into, gosh, almost month 11 of COVID. And although the vaccines are going out and things are getting there, we have to remind each other that, you don't give up in the 22nd mile of a marathon, right? You got to just keep going. And how can we infuse a sense of gratitude and excitement to join with your colleagues, teammates, etc., to support the community? And that feeling and endorphins that can pump and kind of surge through each of us are great at that time. We became a world with technology that has had, like anything, the two sides of the coin. One side is that people started just placing in their order for Starbucks, and you have your name, then you pick up your coffee and you don't really talk to the barista. You drive out of your driveway. Your bubble of who you had in your world was very connected, but it was kind of a little bubble and didn't give you an opportunity to go out past that. I think that this pandemic has shifted that and given the opportunity, and what we've heard at least from volunteers is that they appreciate more meaningful and purposeful work. They appreciate connecting. It can be a 30-minute call instead of a 45-minute call, but we're going to get everything done and ensure that it's set and go forth with that. So the virtual world has given an opportunity for people to find a way, and companies and organizations to connect while working remotely. And so that's all going to change after the pandemic. I mean, we'll go back to some normalcy, but there will be new things in place that I think that we're excited to see how we can help support each other through any time, good times and bad times, through a remote opportunity.
Oh, I definitely agree with that philosophy. I think that things are really not going to go back to the same as they were. We're going to be in a different world when this is all over, but we're going to come out stronger. I do believe that. But, Kate and Karen and Sean, you all brought up great points about, especially Kate talking about the Christmas party season. And, a lot of these companies have Christmas parties, which is not going to really happen this year. I mean, I used to go to quite a few of them. I'm going to miss it, but hey, maybe we'll have them in July. I don't know, but it's very important that maybe you do have some kind of virtual type of parties that you do support the restaurants by sending meals to employees or something like that, so everyone can join in on a Zoom conference and have a meal, something on that idea. But, there's got to be a way that, and I'm sure someone will come up with it because, this is our world right now and we have to do something like that.
Tell you, all the restaurants out there would certainly be grateful for something like that.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough of how much fun we had. And I think, this is the it'll be different this year. Like we're hearing so many people say, but it won't be like this forever. But it's really important to come up with new ways of coming together. And that's what we've been doing at Bullfinch, whether it's an event for our employees, whether it's an event to give back, whether, again, this year for our holiday party, having something personalized come to your house from the restaurant, which is what we did with ingredients that we then came together and prepared and arranged while we were connecting over a virtual platform. We weren't in person like we typically are, but we were actually there together and stronger for it, like so many people have said. And the feedback that we got, not only from the restaurant, but also from our team members, was fantastic. And then that has led to other team members saying, oh, my husband was on the call and his company wants to contact that restaurant. They think that's a great idea. And events like that and things that we've done with Building Impact, where you're working together live, maybe you're not together in person, but you're virtual, really continues that engagement, that culture, that camaraderie Sean was talking about, which is so critical. And overall, that giving back, that kindness is critical in times like these. And we continue to explore ways to give back, to support different causes, and to make sure our team members are supported and coming together and working through this.
No, that's a fantastic idea. I love that idea of having that, getting all the employees involved in this, and that's great. And I hope more companies hear this, because that is a good idea. It helps your employees, gives them that great morale that they need right now, and it helps the restaurant industry.
It certainly does. And we did add a little ugly sweater contest in there. I didn't win, but it was also another fun way to kind of get people, banter back and forth and to connect in different ways. And that's what everyone needs, is that connection. And giving back is certainly, that kindness is what's needed right now, and it boosts that sense of that purpose, and making sure that we are building our communities and we're allowing them to rebuild during difficult times, and we know we will. But coming together and partnering with organizations, especially during the holiday season, is so important.
And I think that interaction and the people coming together also helps people feel, well, there is hope. This is not the end of the world for it. Everyone's in this together, and you feel that, people are supporting each other. And that's what's needed right now, especially in any kind of tough times. So, I applaud you for doing that, Kate. That is
Thank
great.
you.
And before we end this, because we're going to come to an end very shortly, there's a couple of other questions that someone had sent in. Well, I think there's one question that, what pro bono work have companies done during the past year? Now, I'm not sure if anyone can answer that, but I'm sure there's a ton of companies that have done that, but maybe someone has a couple of.
Yeah. So we, through Building Impact, actually do have a pro bono consulting side that we pair up with MIT's Executive MBA program. And so the last end of their modular is one in which their teams of students come in and meet with about 20 or so local nonprofits that have identified a problem statement and or either logistical, organizational, communications, marketing. This problem statement, we help them refine a bit before the program actually kicks in, and then they have the opportunity that goes back and gives true capacity building. In addition to that, we have skilled-based volunteering that is along the lines of the pro bono consulting that you're referring to. One is called Pathways to Professionalism. With that, we have orchestrated and worked with organizations such as the Base in Roxbury and their students, and provide the opportunity for companies to have their employees work one-on-one and develop, be it interview skills, informational interviews, help these young adults come through and get the chance to actually fine-tune who they are and learn how to make those informational connections. Because a lot of times you don't know what that first step is, and someone that you're meeting with can help you then find that second step and the third step, etc. And that all is practice. So that is another way that there has been some. And then physical donations. We have received, be it, believe it or not, from some of the hospital location areas that we had. There were companies that had extra sanitizers that we were able to broker and help to get to the shelters during COVID-19 when we had the emergency pop-up shelters going across the city. In addition to that, there has been a lot of smaller companies that if their inventory had kind of reached levels that they were not going to be able to sell, they could use us, and we helped connect them with local nonprofits that could use it. So we had some backpacks, we had earbuds, which were critical, especially as they were starting to have schools that are going virtual. Kids can get a laptop or a Chromebook or some sort of technology from the schools, but then a lot of the accessories they don't have. So this, again, enabled us to turn around and give back to local organizations. A lot of these earbuds to the schools, the Boston Public Schools, et cetera.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I know the brokerage community, you know, by and large, did a lot of pro bono work. Again, you know, with restaurants and landlord tenants alike, and trying to figure out, you know, new deal structures for them. You know, if restaurants have their doors closed, it's really difficult for them to pay rent. So, you know, we were sort of intermediaries between tenants and landlords, and helping them find, you know, sustainable you know, rent structures, you know, for the pandemic and really beyond, because it's, I think it's going to be a long sort of ramp back up to, you know, the revenues that restaurants were used to. So.
Yeah, certainly, and to piggyback on what Sean was saying, Bullfinch, you know, relationships are the foundation of our business, and so working with all of our stakeholders, including tenants, during challenging times was part of that process for us, and especially on the life science side. So Bullfinch is a property manager, and making sure that, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, ensuring that our buildings were open and operational and safe. So a lot of retrofits that were involved in that to make sure, especially companies that were essential, life science companies that are actually doing COVID research in our buildings, Pfizer being one of those in particular, working on discovery and research that's going to help change not only our area, our industry, but help the world overcome this pandemic. Our role in making sure that those buildings stay open and active with all the safeties in place was critical during this time, and will remain so in the future.
Yeah, I have heard quite a bit about companies that have worked with a lot of the tenants and have made it so the tenants can still breathe, in other words, because they're not going to be smothered by having to worry about that big rent right now while this whole thing is going on, and they're not bringing in any kind of revenue. So I also do applaud the landlords that worked with a lot of the tenants to make it so they can hopefully come through this, and that's a positive thing as well. Sean keeps blinking in and out. I think he's on his phone, and he's getting a phone call at the same time. There he is.
It's a nice headshot, though.
Yeah, I thought you were doing a little magic show there. We have one last question, and I'm not sure if we can answer this or not. How is the Cree community dealing with pandemic and addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion concerns? I'm not sure if they meant equality or equity, but you know, we can sort of work around that if anyone can answer the question.
Sure, I'm happy to kick that off. Well, at Bullfinch, diversity, equity, inclusion has always been part of our brand mission since the firm's founding. And we, this year, have enhanced that and really, like many other companies, realized we need to do more to be part of the change. And what we've done is outline plans to help move that needle. And that begins with our own team and making sure that we are enhancing opportunities and partnerships, especially to give more people a seat at the table in the commercial real estate industry in particular. And that includes anybody that we work with and partner with, whether it's in the AEC industry, whether it's investment opportunities. And really our goal is to help create more diversity. And that includes mentoring with programs that NAP has. They have a CREST program, which Bullfinch is thrilled to be part of, to help elevate new employees in the industry and increase diversity. It also includes internal campaigns that we're doing at our company. And I had mentioned earlier, also identifying partnerships outside to help support. And part of what we do at our company is making sure that our team is part of that process, and so that people have a voice and that are included in the decisions that we're making. And that was a great example that we did this spring in terms of what groups are we going to support and why. And we came together to work through it, and we're thrilled to have our team contribute and our company match 3-to-1 on our donations. And we will continue to identify new ways of giving back and helping to change and take action in 2021 and beyond.
Fantastic. Anyone else have any input on that?
The only thing I would say is through a lot of, again, the skill-based volunteering, we have relationships with the nonprofit partner community, Year Up, another organization that is great that provides internships with, or I should say, provides the opportunity for internships with students and children that have had shown great promise, but just may not necessarily have the networking that was already available to some other schools or that are there. And so we too can provide and kind of help facilitate and put companies, organizations, or CRE partners together to help, again, shepherd the opportunities to come forth and introduce you to an unbelievable cohort of people that are talented. And we have witnessed Paradigm Properties in particular, who had been this and ended up hiring somebody from the program that they had gone through and done some of the mentoring with. So I think it's great. I think a lot of it is exposure and, as Kate had referenced, listening and ensuring that we hear what is happening and how we can best bridge whatever gaps there are.
Yeah, you know, I want to just throw out one positive thing that I've been seeing during this. You know, everyone's talking about unemployment rates have been skyrocketing, things like that. I hear of so many companies in the commercial real estate industry, construction industry, property management industry that are all hiring during these times. So, you know, that's a positive thing. You know, I wish that was, yeah, I wish that was in the case of hospitality, but, you know, right now it's a little tough, but that will change, I'm sure. And I'm sure when, after all of this is said and done, the hospitality, restaurant, bars, they'll all be coming out of this stronger and probably running more efficiently.
Yeah, certainly. We've heard that from a lot of our tenants, that although this has been a really trying time for them, that they've learned a lot, and they've shifted and are rethinking the way that they do things, and that there is belief in the restaurant community that you know, those who come out of this will you know, will thrive in 2021 and beyond.
Well, at the beginning, I talked about another company that have given back somewhat, and I wanted to mention them because they had sent me this article that they had put out, and it's the company is Urban Spaces. They are a Cambridge-based real estate development company, and the organization that they worked with is Food for Free, a Cambridge-based nonprofit dedicated to providing a greater Boston community with reliable access to fresh and nutritious food. And they had a ribbon cutting ceremony to celebrate the opening of a new food packing and distribution center located at 73 First Street across from Cambridge Side Shopping Center. The facility will help Food for Free meet the growing demand for food during the pandemic. Urban Spaces is donating the rent and property management services for the 3,600 square foot facility. Now that's impressive. I mean, that's a good cause. You know, they yeah, that's like prime real estate that they're donating right across from Cambridge Side Galleria. But you know, that's what some companies are coming out and they're showing good true colors, you know. So I'm glad to see that. It makes me happy that there are still corporations out there that are willing to be good to their employees, be good to the community, and you know, that's just it's good to hear. You know, because we've heard so many bad things about so many corporations doing so many bad things to employees and to communities, you know, in the past. When you hear these stories about corporations doing the good things, I think it should be highlighted and, you know, and praised, because it is great to hear. I want to thank all of you for doing this today. This has been a tough year, and I think that just the three of you, and I'm sure there's a lot of other companies out there that have made it a little easier for a lot of people. And I appreciate it. And I'm sure all of those people out there that have been helped by you, they appreciate it as well. And, I'm sure they can't give you enough praise. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank Kate Schoss.
Thank you, Rick, for having me.
Thank you. Sean Griffin, Boston Urban Partners.
Thank
And
Rick.
Karen.
Pleasure to be here.
Oh, my pleasure to have you. And Karen Conway of Building Impact.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to hear and get inspired by what other stories are. So this forum that you created is the perfect opportunity. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I also like to thank everyone for joining us today. I know people have been watching on YouTube, as well as some have come on to the Zoom call this morning. This will be recorded. It will be on the nerej.com/video website. Also on the nyrej.com/videos. Video. Did I say videos or video? It's videos. And that it will be on that website as well as on our YouTube channel. So if you missed it today and you'd like to see it, we'd love to have you come to view it on those web channels. Look for our upcoming 2020 webinars and our monthly corporate roundtable show on the web. And I want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday season, and goodbye 2020, and we'll see you in 2021. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank
Rick. Take care.
you.
Thank you very much.